Hi everyone, my name is Charlie, and today I want to talk about why I chose to self-publish my books. Now, I've mentioned my books before, Our Doris and its sequel, Indisputably Doris, and both of them are comedies set in the north of England surrounding this character of Mrs. Doris Copeland, who is a bit of your snob, your middle-class snob. A friend once described her as the painfully middle class. Anyway, I've told the story a few times now about how the character came to me and all that fun stuff, so I'm not going to get into that again. I'm personally going to talk about my journey towards the decision to self-publish, because it isn't something that I took lightly, because whilst I do think that independently publishing and self-publishing your work has lost some of its stigma over the years, I still think that it isn't seen as the right thing to do, especially by my fellow writers and people who work in and people who have worked for years, and toiled and coped with the rejection. And I think that this is seen as people avoiding the rejection and avoiding the validation that they would get from a traditional publisher. I would one day still hope that I would be able to get my books traditionally published. When I first came up with the idea for Our Doris and to bring it out, before I brought the book out, I wasn't going to self-publish. I'd made the decision that I was going to do it, that I was going to put all of the work that I'd accumulated over 3 years at this point and put it in a collection and just give it to the writers group. And then I'm one of these people who, if I'm going to do something, I want to do it well, I want to do it properly. And so I decided that I was going to buy the ASBNs, I was going to set myself up as a publisher, and I was going to do it properly. And at the time, I worried about doing this because I worried that this would now mean that I had to follow a certain path, I had to bring out a certain type of book, and that is definitely not the sort of thing that I wanted to be doing. I didn't want to be pigeonholed into one genre or one category. And sorry, I think I'm hearing my dog with a bone. And so I avoided self-publishing for a long time because of the stigma, because I didn't want to be one of these people who I had kind of been against for years. I'd not wanted to be an independent self-published writer for the simple fact that people do actually almost look down on you. There have been so many times when people have heard me read and come over afterwards and ask me who my publisher is, and as soon as I say it's me, that's it. Lose interest, leave immediately. Because they've enjoyed what they've heard, but it's not been given the approval of other people. It's not had that backing. And that is one of the reasons that I would like to explore traditionally publishing in the future, to get that backing, to get people to be able to do jobs that I am doing now, but I'm not necessarily doing to the best that they could be done. Like, they're the best of my ability, but I know that they could be done better. So self-publishing for me was this almost difficult journey, because I ended up choosing to do it because enough people had asked me for the book, and also because I thought I wrote them as monologues, so I thought there wasn't really going to be a market outside of the people that I know. And whilst I have taken the book, to a few places now, and I have sold enough to make back the money I spent, it's still something that has to be a labour of love, because if we're going to talk about money, then I made minus £2,000 last year because of these books, and that's with receiving income from my actual job. And that's not something we should probably talk about, but I feel like it's important to say that I definitely brought these books out for the people that wanted them, and I have enjoyed writing them, and I enjoy going around and reading them. And a friend of mine did say that they were probably my most publishable works, and that wasn't said until I'd brought the books out myself. And I was like, you could have said this ages ago and saved me the bother. But then I have enjoyed this journey, and it's definitely something that I didn't plan on doing. And it's definitely given me a new respect for the people that are bringing out the works themselves. That I think there's definitely like a proper way that people want you to bring out your books if you're going to do it yourself. Like get an editor, get a cover designer, pay all the money and make sure you're doing it properly, and they don't want you just like writing something in a week and saying, right, I want £5 for this. So it's still this thing that people really, really, really want to make sure that there has been some struggle for you to get this book. They really, really don't want to hear about the writer who's being successful, who hasn't actually worked for it and gone the proper route about it. And Lord, the decision to self-publish was simply made for me when Joy Winkler, the writer I talk about, invited me to go to this reading as the male writer. I was like, well, I've got to bring the book out now, and so I set the date and I did it all, and it was this push to do it, and I'm grateful that it happened, and it has pushed me to still work on writing my comedy and improve as a writer in that vein. And I think that my work has improved because I'm no longer striving to try and create a fantasy novel that is like all the ones I was reading. So whilst I'm still reading fantasy, I'm now no longer like mimicking it. And so it's been an important part of my journey as a writer. But I still have this like almost quandary about self-publishing, in which I'm like, I self-publish, I'm planning on continuing to do it, but I still think that there are people out there who honestly discredit all that work because of the stigma attached to it. I mean, I do it myself. I have done it myself. I've looked down upon self-published books simply because they are self-published, because I learned from a young age that that wasn't the in thing, and slowly I think that is changing, and I know that we've definitely seen a rise in like hybrid publishing of traditionally published authors who are trying self-publishing and independently publishing. But I still think it's in the very much the early stages, and I still think people want you to have that validation from the big people, the big names, to like say, look, I did it. I toiled, I went through the heartbreak, the rejection, the lack of money, and I finally made it. But you know, when you're traditionally published, you aren't likely to make much money either. Writing is definitely, if you're not doing it for the love of writing, then you aren't going to be very successful, I have to say. So yeah, this didn't really say why I chose to self-publish, and it didn't give you the excuses, because I feel like people want an excuse other than I just wanted to do it, which is simply it. Is I wanted to try self-publishing. I wanted to see if I could do it. And at the time, I remember saying to everyone, the only thing I thought a traditional publisher could offer me at the time was the publicity. Now I know, obviously, they could offer me the editor, they could offer me the publicity, they could offer me a ton of things, and like the security of not having to worry about like paying rent because you bought a book out. Although, to be fair, I did like pay my rent really early, and I used the money that I earned from all my overtime last year to actually fund this book, because Lord knows that if I hadn't done overtime, then we would be having a very, very, very different tale today. So yeah, I think I'll leave it there, because I don't think that I've actually gone into much detail about the self-publishing process, but I have talked about it before, which is why I'm trying to just give like new insight, new material into the fact that self-publishing is a bit hard, and people are going to look down on you for it, and it really, you just have to have a lot of courage. And it was the courage of bringing out my own book that I was like, you know what, I can start the YouTube channel, I can do different things, because it was one of those things that like, you brought a book out, and you know, now people are judging you whenever they read it, so you may as well get judged for something you wanted to try as well. So yeah, self-publishing has helped me. I would like to get traditionally published in the future, but I don't know if that will happen. I don't know. What are your thoughts on self-publishing? There's a thing. What are your actual thoughts? Do you think there is like a divide between self-published and traditionally published writers, or is it all in my head? Would you be more likely to read a traditionally published book than you are to read a self-published book? Do you look down on self-published writers? There's a question for you. That's going to be hard-hitting. Anyway, I hope you actually got something out of this video other than my nonsensical ramblings, and until next time, that is all.